discuss. In the last class, we spoke about the various activities. Okay. Today, we are going to talk about write about the photo. Now, any which ways, I'm just explaining you or telling you what topics we are going to cover here. So, in detail, I will give you idea how it works, how we need to do that. So, today we are going to talk about write about the photo and write a description of the image. Okay. Now, yes, now this particular type of question which appears thrice in your test and you get 1 minute to solve this question. Okay. Now, summarize the second topic which we are going to cover is summarize the conversation. Now, this particular questions appears immediately after your listening. Now, since I have mentioned it, maybe the third last column, okay, but today we are going to do this first because yesterday we had a listening activity, okay. Now, since this comes after the listen and respond and interactive listening, so we will cover this topic first and then we'll talk about the describing image. Now, summarize the conversation. This type of questions appear twice in your test and you get 75 seconds, so approximately not even a minute. Okay. So I hope you're clear on the two types of questions. So every day we are talking about two types of questions because you understand it well. And since even if you don't understand, yes, my team is there to support you, where you can find all your respective documents and the handouts. Okay. So we all are on the same page? Yes? Okay. So how it looks. Okay, so when it comes to the okay, so summarize the conversation. So you have 15 seconds. Okay. Now, what are the key points that you need to remember? So, as I said, this particular activity comes immediately after listening. So, we had certain scenarios yesterday. So, you heard those scenarios. Okay. As I said, you get 75 seconds for that. You can read the conversation before you write. Okay. No need to take notes, but yes, here we can do that. Even we are there to help you out, like to make your life more easy, what sentences, what phrases you can use. So you don't have to think much about it. Okay. This particular test is basically to check your literacy, your grammar part. Okay. So we have to focus on the grammar also. Fine. Now, what you need to do is, so yes, for everything, as I said last time, three P's are important. So persistence, preparation, and practice. Okay. So yes, you have to practice a lot of writing because you never know what kind of statements or conversation you will get. Okay. You have to choose the correct answer from the previous section. So don't worry, we have mentioned, we have made it so easy that you can understand it. Okay. Now here we have mentioned, so here is the strategy. Okay, so what you need to do is, so before finishing the listening part, read the situation carefully. Okay, and you can write your first and second statement or sentences based on the situation. So we have done one example for you. Now this is the scenario. You are a student in a journalism class. After today's lecture on reporting, you approach your professor to ask them more about what it means to cultivate sources. Okay. Now, based on this, you don't have to think too much. So you need to just summarize this statement. Now, when you are summarizing this, make sure you are not using or copying the same statement. Okay. So you have to do your own paraphrasing thing. Now, what is paraphrasing? So paraphrasing is something you are describing it in your own words. Okay. Without losing the core message or without disturbing the core message. Okay. So that paraphrasing you need to do. So, what is the sample summary here? I asked my professor a question after class today. I asked them to explain the concept of cultivating sources as a reporter. Now, if you see the scenario, it is the same. So, you approach your professor. So, where we are using the similar words. So, you need to know the synonyms here. Approach, asked, maybe want to clarify something. Okay, so you need to use different vocabulary here. Okay, so your synonym, you should know the synonym part. I hope. Am I going too fast? Hmm? No? Fair? Okay. Now, yes. Study some opening phrases. So, as I said, you have to summarize it. So you can use I. If you're talking about anyone else, so you can use different phrases here, first person, second person, etc. Okay. Now, here is the sample structure. Okay, now how or what are the opening sentences that you can use? Now it totally depend on the conversation or the scenario. So you need to understand what is the scenario, whether the scenario talks, whether it is a formal talk or whether it is an informal talk. So basically, whether it is your professor, teacher, or anybody else, or if it is a friend. So according to that, you can use your beginning sentences. Okay. So I had a conversation with my professor or my friend about, okay, that during a meeting with my dad discuss. Okay. So these are the sentences you can use. I and my professor had a discussion on. So during a conversation, while we were talking, so certain phrases, certain sentences you can use. My friend, my classmate, professor, or if you're talking about any your colleague, you can say colleague, okay? And I talked about. I and my professor discussed on. Okay, so these are the sentences, beginning sentences you can use your conversation. Now, what are the ideas here? So, what is a conversation? Whether you have suggested something, or you discussed something, or you agreed or something. So, you have given some opinion. So, you have to be very clear on ideas, what you are sharing. Okay. So, is it clear so far? So, what are the beginning sentences you have to use? What are the ideas? So, how to find out the ideas? Okay. So, you need to check that idea, whether it is a suggestion, you ask some suggestion from the professor, or you and your professor discuss, or you and your friend agreed on something, or you have given certain inputs or information. So, based on that core message, you need to use the right phrase here. Okay. Now, Now, what did you say you were going to do? Okay. Now, this is a conclusion kind of part. Okay. So, you heard the scenario, you have asked some questions, you have summarized it. Now, what is the conclusion on it? Okay. So, end of it while doing the summary. So I agreed with my professor and said that. So this is the conclusion part. We planned. So whether you, your professor, you or your friend, so you have come to certain conclusion. Okay. We concluded our discussion by mentioning so and so, or we decided, we sum it up. So certain phrases which we use to summarize our conversation, you can end up, planned, discussed, finalized, so we sum it up, etc. Phrases you can use to do the conclusion. Okay, fine. Now here is a template. I had a conversation with my professor, my friend, about, okay, my professor suggested that, we discussed so and so, and we decided. Okay, so here is the scenario. Okay, now we are getting into the activity part. Okay, so here is the scenario given. You are a student who is struggling to balance your extracurricular activities with your schoolwork. You have a meeting with your professor to discuss how you can better manage your time. Now you understood what are the beginning sentences we have to use. Okay. So it is very clear mention about your professor. So you're discussing with your professor. Okay. So I'm giving you time here. Okay. Let's summarize this particular scenario. Okay. So you can put it in your, uh, the summary, you can put it in a chat box. So there is no poll today. Okay. So you are a student, understand the situation. Okay, now here also you can understand certain keywords. Students struggling. So when we are struggling, what we do? Okay. And again, the message is very clear that you need to manage your time. Okay. Okay. So here is a conversation. I'm just giving you, showing it here. Okay. So you basically the professor, your conversation between you and professor. So you, Professor, I was hoping to talk to you about managing my time better. So, Professor, of course, what seems to be the issue? So here is a conversation happening. I'm a lot involved in a lot of extracurricular activities, and I'm finding it tough to balance everything with all my coursework. Do you have any advice on how I can manage my time better? Professor is giving opinion now. I understand. What are some of the activities that you are taking up most of your time? So it's a question here. I'm heavily involved in the campus clubs for debates and journalism, and I'm also on the club soccer team. Professor, okay. Have you considered cutting back on some of the activities? You, I have, but they are all really important to me. So I'm trying to find a way to balance them all while still keeping up with my schoolwork. Professor, have you tried creating a schedule to manage your time better? You, yeah, I have, but I am having a hard time sticking to it. Do you have any suggestions? So this boy is really tied up with the extracurricular activities. He tried the method what professor has suggested him. Okay, but still he is not able to manage the time. Professor, it might be helpful to start with a smaller schedule and build up from there. Also try to be realistic with the time you have and what you can accomplish. And don't be afraid to ask help when you need it. So the professor is also welcoming you. Okay, thank you for your suggestions. I will try to implement those and hopefully see some improvement. Now, this is the conversation between professor and a student. Now, what you need to do here is, okay, uh, fine. So, what you need to do here is, you have to use the templates what we have shared before, okay, and you have to come up with the statements. So, yeah, let's do it. Just put it in a chat box. So please follow the templates what we have gone through earlier. I hope you all are writing, putting it in a chat box. Can I see some answers, please? Okay, guys, we do not have a whole day to answer this. Okay, so let's check out on our answers here. Okay. See now, whatever the templates we have given you before, okay, like as a examples. So I had a conversation with my professor or my friend about, okay. So you can just summarize this conversation by using the same templates. Yeah. So I had a conversation with my professor about, now here you don't have to write too many things. Yeah, as I said, we have to summarize it. When it comes to summarizing, means if your, let's say the summary is always 5 to 10%, whatever it is, whether you are speaking or whether you are writing. Okay, so if you are speaking for 50 minutes, so your summary should, you should summarize it in within the 5 or 10%. If you are writing maybe of 20 uh, sentences and all those things, so your summary should be according to that. So it should not be too lengthy. That's why we call it as a summary. So I had a conversation with my professor about how I can better manage my time. I find it hard to balance all my extracurricular activities with my coursework. So here he has not mentioned all the activities, okay, what he is tied up with. My professor suggested that I should try to cut back on some of them. We also discussed on how to manage my time better, starting with a smaller schedule and building up from there. So here we have just moved on to the directly the suggestion, the advice what he have given. Additionally, we decided that I should be realistic with the time I have and not be afraid to ask for help when I need it. Okay. Or you can just also mention that I had a conversation with my professor about how I can better manage my time. My professor suggested that I should try to cut back on some of them. Additionally, we decided that I should be realistic with the time I have. Now, if you see the conversation here, it is quite lengthy, right? And if you see the summary here, it is very short and crispy. Okay, so you can use your summary with the help of these templates. I hope all are clear on this part. Okay, so we'll move further now. Okay, so let's do the next type of question, which is write about a photo. Yeah. Now here, how this test happens, the test duration is approximately 1 minute, 54 seconds to 1 minute, okay, or 55 seconds. Now you will be given any image, okay, so and you have to describe that image within 1 minute, okay. Now this will show your creativity. So there are various ways to describe the particular image, okay. So we are going to talk about it. Now, what are the key points that you need to remember here? So you need only 1 minute to complete this. Okay. You have to write one sentence. If you can write it with more sentence, it is better. Okay. Now you have to write full and complete sentence. So there is no short forms. I mean, no broken syntax or broken sentences. Make sure that whatever sentences you are writing, those are meaningful statements. Yeah. Now, this type of questions appears 3 to 4 times in your test. So you can use some introductory statements in your when you are describing the image. Now, what are the tips you need to follow? So memorize these statements, whatever we are going to share it here. You can practice them while using and describing the picture. You have to be descriptive also. So in one part, you have to describe that image. Okay. In one, you have to also guess and predict. Okay. Here, again, I said it's a writing part. So you have to focus on your spelling, punctuation, etc. Then, yes, you will get some time to check the errors. You can always do that. So we have given one example here. Okay. Now what are the key points that you need to remember here? Again, your grammar part, there were grammar accuracy, variety and level of grammar you are using. Okay. So what kind of words, what kind of vocabulary you are using, variety of word and choice. So you're not repeating the same words. Okay. So that shows how you have a control on knowledge of good vocabulary, word choices, how you're answering and describing that image. You can also uh, write in a so because you have a limited time for this. Okay. So yes, put your pronunciation and everything in a place. So okay, now this is the image. Okay, this is example is done for you. Now here you have to write what exactly it is. So you have to describe this image. Okay, you can say few statements. Okay. Now introductory statements, how you can begin with the image or beginning sentences. This is a picture of. Okay, this image depicts. This picture shows. In this photograph, there are. So whatever you see, you can just start with this beginning statements. Okay. Okay, now this is an example is done for you. So this is a picture of a woman shopping in a supermarket. This image shows a woman shopping for a fruit in a supermarket. Okay. Now you have to be more descriptive about it. So write about the actions of the person or main subject or image. You have to describe the object, you have to describe people. Now, while describing people, definitely you have to take care of the grammar part. So, adjectives, or maybe when you're describing some place, so you can talk about, you can give clear idea about the place, right? You can write the location. So, when I say location, not the city name and all, but where this particular, what do you think about this image? Okay. Now, to make it very easy, okay, so there are certain prepositional phrases. Now, let's understand phrase is nothing but it is a group of words. So, there are certain phrasal verbs we use, certain prepositional phrases we use. Now, prepositional phrases is nothing where we add a preposition. So, preposition comes there. So, you know all the prepositions. Okay, so preposition is what? Which tells the position. Okay. Now, there are certain prepositional phrases you can use to give the direction. Okay, so on the top of, above, at the top, to the left, to the right, to the center, in the middle, in the corner, at the bottom, under, beneath, underneath, below. Okay, now here, when it's to the left, to the right, okay, so here is a picture like where you can use this, yeah. So the direction, so left and right we know, but most of the student they get confused under, below, beneath, etc. So at the top, in the center, in the middle, okay, in the corner, at the bottom, under, beneath, underneath, or below. Now, when you are describing that image, you can use these additional phrases. Okay. So, in the background, what you see, okay, foreground, in front of, directly opposite, exactly in the middle of, roughly in the middle of, in close proximity to, just above, and parallel to. Okay. So, these are the certain prepositional phrases you can use. Everything you will get it in your handouts. Don't worry. Maybe if you want to write down, you can write down, but you will get it in your. So, so far, so good. Shall we move ahead? Okay. Now, this is the image, same image where we have given you example, the statements, okay, what this lady is doing. Now take a time and you have to describe this. Okay, so you can use these prepositional phrases in your statement. You can use them, the directional phrases, etc. So your time starts now. You can put it in chat box. Okay. Yes. The photo shows the lady is in a supermarket. Okay. Any more answers? Please put it in chat box. What do you see? Okay. Very good. Prepositional phrases, you're using it. Okay. Okay. Few more answers. Any more? Okay. Okay, Prashant. Oh, she's smiling. Okay. Did you see her? Okay. 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 Yes, Achut. Okay. Fine. So, shall we move ahead? Okay, let's check out. Yes. Now you can see, like, where, as I said, you can use certain adjectives, right? Describing a person. Now, what is adjective? So, adjective is something which modifies and describe gives more information about the noun and pronoun. Okay. Now this is a picture of a young woman. So you can see she's a young, right? She looks young. Woman shopping for fruit in a supermarket. She is looking down, okay, at a large pile of ripe pineapples to her left. Okay, so there are pineapples kept, so she is looking at it and thinking hard about whether to buy one or not. So she is thinking, which one should I buy? Okay, so this is how you can describe the picture. Okay. Now there are certain predictions that you have to do. Okay. Now predictions are something, or to make a predictions, you can use statements or phrases like it seems like, it looks like, I guess that, I think. Now here you can use modal verbs. Okay, so I hope you know all modal verbs. So may, might, may, must, could. Okay, so you can use these predictions. Now there is a slight difference between may and might. So may we use when the possibility is higher, might we use for hypothetical situation. So hypothetical situation is something we're imagining and assuming. Okay, must we use when certain things are 100% certain, and could we use for possibility. So there are various other situations where we use could also, but yes. Now shall we do this? Doing the guessing and prediction part? Okay, so your time starts now. Let's do the prediction. Now you explain the statement by looking at the picture, correct? What is it about? What is she doing? Now based on that picture, you have to predict. Okay, so to make that prediction, you can use these phrases and you have to give your prediction. So let's do that. What are the modal verbs? What is your question?
The question is, what are modal verbs?
Modal verbs. Okay, so the modal verbs are something which we used to support our main verbs. Okay, so if I explain you, it will take some time. So that's why the grammar is important. So when I say verb, this shows action. So verbs are called as action verbs. Okay, where we can imagine and visualize the action. For example, cycling, riding, uh, uh, driving, eating. So we can imagine and visualize the actions where we know what someone is doing. But when it comes to modal verbs are something we use to indicate or express certain ideas, possibility, ability, lack of ability, impossibility, or lack of possibility, for request, suggestion, obligation, statements, advice, etc. So modal verbs are usually we use to make our to support our main verb so that our statement becomes more meaningful. So they do indicate different ideas. Okay. So there are 25 helping verbs or modal verbs. So modal, helping verbs, auxiliary verbs, all are same. So auxiliary, the meaning, it's a Latin word. So auxiliary means helping. So that's why we call it as a helping verbs or modal verbs. Okay, let's do the prediction part. Okay, so it seems she was confused whether to buy. Okay, haha, vegan, very good prediction. Okay, so let's see the prediction here. It seems that she is going to buy one of the pineapples. Okay. I guess she won't buy a pineapple this time. I think she is having a hard time choosing the best pineapple to buy. Okay. Now here see nothing right and wrong. Okay. So if you say no, this is maybe the third is the right prediction or second is the right prediction, there is nothing. So it is only just to check how do you predict. So predict is nothing but something we say na something will happen. Okay. So this is what it is. So all clear? It's fun, like you must be remembering your childhood days, like which we used to describe our some image or something. Okay. Now, yes, again, you have to take care of uh, capital letters, like how do you end a statement, your punctuation, full stop, question marks, exclamation marks, comma, etc. You can use the conjunctions also. So conjunctions are basically the words are which joins two clauses, two phrases, two statements, two words. Okay. Now clauses is nothing but a statement. There are three types of conjunctions: coordinating conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions, correlating conjunctions. Now, coordinating conjunctions as actually we use it as an acronym, that is fanboys. Okay, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. So acronyms are certain words where we are taking the first letter of each word and framing a new word. So if you say FANBOY, so S. Okay, so here we made the acronym, that is fanboys. ISRO is again an acronym. Okay, so you can use this coordinating conjunctions. Why coordinating conjunctions here? Because these we use as a joining words. Okay, okay, fine. So we have done the predictions and everything. There is one image for you. So this is the picture of a young woman shopping in a supermarket. She is looking down at a large pile of ripe pineapples to her left and thinking hard about whether to buy one or not. She might be having a hard time making up her mind. It's a time to do your prediction statement describing the image. Your time starts now. Just check the image. What is this image is about? Use appropriate beginning words, statement, phrases, coordinating conjunctions, etc. First, make the statement, describe the image, and then go for the prediction. Okay. And once you do that, just put in chat box. This particular kind of test, it checks how your observation is. Okay. So within that short span of period, how much do you observe? What do you observe? How do you put it in a right word? Okay. Presenting class. Okay. 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 Presenting the lecture. Right. Few more answers. Okay. It seems very interesting. Okay. Okay. So let's check out. Okay. So let's do the answer part. Okay. Am I audible? Oh, I stopped sharing the screen. Okay, sorry. One second. I'll share it again. Okay. Yeah. Can you see the screen now? Hello? Okay, fine. Okay. So, yeah, many of you have given the reply. This photo shows that the teacher giving a presentation to the students. This picture depicts a teacher teaching primary students. Well done, well observation. Kid seems very interested. Okay, in the class, this picture shows a young man presenting the lecture for a group of students. Perfect. Okay. Now, yes, there are certain statements. He is standing in front of the interactive screen and gesturing politely. Okay, so this is one statement. This is an image of a modern classroom. The teacher is standing in front of the students who sat in a row. So children are sitting, okay, and the person is standing. And yes, it is like a modern way of teaching, okay, where there is a big screen and they are showcasing and giving the presentation. Okay, so well done, Jay. Okay, now let's describe it. Okay, so be descriptive. Okay, whatever you observed. Okay, so these are the statements you made about the picture. Okay, so you have to be more descriptive now. So just describe. Now, this description, it should not be too lengthy. Okay, so you don't have to describe everything. There is a blue bottle on the table or anything. Okay, so you don't have to be so descriptive. You have to describe main ideas. Okay, not like, okay, so there are certain things you can describe. There is a screen also, there is a whiteboard also. Okay, so few important points you can describe. It should not be more than 50 words. Okay, so let's describe it. Now, in the first part, we shared about the image. What is this image is about? In the second part, we are describing that image, and in the third part, we are doing the prediction. Oh, picture of coding. Well done, tech person. Huh? Okay, where teacher is teaching all his students how game is working in front of user because of back coding. Oh, seems interesting, really. Okay, only two replies so far. Okay, any more describing this image? Okay. Shall we check the descriptive part, description part? Okay, so it is the students are listening carefully to what the teacher is saying. There is an interactive screen to the left of the teacher and a whiteboard directly behind him. Okay, so this is the description. Okay, now time to do prediction. Okay, so you can write your predictions here. Something seriously for the exam. Okay, students are listening. Mhm. Towards the lecture. Okay. Any more predictions? Yes. The students are playing some sort of game. Okay. Oh, like a guest teacher, guest lecturer. Okay. For extracurricular activities for the primary students. Good observation, primary students. Okay. Okay. So shall we check the prediction here? So he must be an effective teacher as the young students are focusing well on the lesson. Okay, so if you see, all are listening very carefully. Okay, there is a large interactive screen behind the teacher that is likely being used for an educational game. Okay, so there is one person here, he mentioned very clearly, he described it well, uh, and he uh, predicted also well it is a coding lecture or it's about some game. So well try. Okay. Now answer here the more descriptive way and all that. This is a photo of a like teacher teaching a class of young school students. The students are listening carefully to what the teacher is saying. He must be an effective teacher as the students are focusing well on the lesson. Type 2. This is an image of a modern classroom. The teacher is standing in front of the students who sat in rows. There is a large interactive screen behind the teacher that is likely being used for an educational game. So yes, the person who replied that about the game, your answer is right. You're on the right observation. Okay, so this is how the image you have to describe. So there are three parts. One is the statement you have to make, what is the image is about, then you have to describe, and then you have to do the prediction. Okay, okay, fine. So, yes, do you have any questions or any other doubt related to this? I hope you are clear on the two types of questions, and tomorrow we are going to cover two more different types of questions. To okay, so students are confused because the surprise test coming from the teacher. Okay, very well observation, Jay. Okay, so yeah, many more kind of activities are given in your handouts. Okay, so just go through the website and try your best, give your efforts to try those activities and all. You will get all the information, the whatever phrases or we have discussed here, everything will be shared with you. Okay, if you have any questions, any doubt, please put it in a chat box and my colleague will join you if you have any queries. Okay. So, Shloka, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm there. Thank
Okay.
you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Just give me a second.
Yeah, I'm just